Oh my god, I am so freaking losing it. So because the video ended right at the end, um, he asked me something and I answered him, but for some reason the dialogue skipped itself and I couldn't read what it said. I'm hoping the end of my video caught it, the last video, where he's like, did he see me hesitate for a second? Was it because of Greater Lord Rukkhadevata? And then there was like another line, but I think it cut, so I completely lost what that was. I might have to look it up later. So basically we came here with Irminsul with Skara, and a bunch of weird shit happened.
Where are you going? Hey, wait up! Didn't you say that to go running off?
Fast reaction time. But I don't think we'll be seeing each other again.
He trapped me in here?
From this day forth, the names Balladeer and Kabukimono will cease to exist.
He's gonna try to undo history, because he asked me. In the last video when he touched her, he's like, can you hear my voice in your mind? And I was like, yeah. Because I still have a connection to him. And then he asked her, is it possible to change the past? And I hesitated for a moment because I remembered what Rukkhadevata did, how she undid the past. She rewrote history so that everybody forgot about her and only thought of Kusanali as the current god. So we did undo the past, and we know that you can change it. You can. And we were like, wait, did he see me? Did he see me react? Did he see me stutter? And that's because only Lumi knows about Rukkhadevata. Nobody else does. We were told not to tell anyone. But because he was inside our mind, we think he might have gained that information from us.
Those who died in Tatarasuna because of me deserve another chance at life.
Hey, Balladeer! Don't do anything stupid!
You know, I never did like insects. Hordes of the puny things swarming together can be a real nuisance. And I enjoy nothing more than to stamp them out like the pests they are. But if a colony of harmless ants isn't threatening anyone, I guess they deserve to be left alone. Luckily, everything can be set right. It's time to solve this once and for all.
Balladeer! Balladeer! Uh-oh, he disappeared! Come on, we gotta find him somehow!
How? Lumine is special, so I know she'll find him.
Oh no, he's really gone!
No, I think he's in that tree.
Oh, can you hear him? Nahida!
Please help me.
Traveler, Paimon, Balladeer, what happened just now? I was suddenly cut off by some kind of power.
Yeah, he put a shield around us to block us out from Kusanali so that she couldn't hear us.
It was the Balladeer's fault. He shut you out!
You tell her what he did.
I didn't think he'd be capable of something like that with so little power left. Did he keep some of his power hidden when he was defeated? Or did he achieve something beyond his abilities, and it took everything he had? Where the heck did he go? Ugh, it's all our fault. We were supposed to keep an eye on him. Sorry, Nahida. Don't be. It's not your fault. Please, let me handle this from here. Even though I'm not sure I can solve it. We're running out of time. Follow my lead and get out of Irminsul as soon as possible.
But how? He was the one who guided us in here. And he trapped me in here by doing that. You do realize that, right? When he was like, you're faster than expected, but bye. He trapped us here. And I think I know why. I'm not going to say, though. You'll see. There you go. That isn't it, though. He's still there. You'll see. I don't like to spoil crap, but I know. He's not a bad person at all. He's just somebody who was used and betrayed. You know, you can't fault him for that. I've been hurt a lot in my life, too, so I understand it. I've been hurt and used and manipulated by others and lied to and betrayed as well, so I know how that feels. I'm sure a lot of people do. Am I back out? I love my low untextured graphics, making me feel like everything's plastic.
This is an emergency. I'll have to ask you to stay here for now. Everything's arranged, and nobody will disturb you.
I want to help.
I'm sorry, but this isn't something I need your help with. Leave this one to me.
An emergency? How bad is it? Nahida, will you be okay?
Well, she was the one who asked for Scar's release, and now that he disappeared, they're going to hold it against her because he was only temporarily released. And if he disappeared, they're going to think she broke him out, and they're going to hold prosecution against her.
Don't worry. If my assessment is correct, though there may be some minor disturbances, it won't lead to a disaster. Please rest and recover your strength here until I say it's safe.
Her voice is gone. Paimon can't shake the feeling that something really big has happened. What do you think the Balladeer meant? And why did he suddenly grab onto you before?
Oh no. Paimon doesn't remember Greater Lord Rukkhadevata, and the Balladeer's question was a strange one. It's hard to explain in full, and the truth might be very digressing for Paimon. I'll skip the part about Great Lord Rukkhadevata for now, and focus on the Balladeer. You tell Paimon what he asked me.
He wants to change the past? But surely that's impossible!
It's not easy, that's for sure, but it can be done.
Right! You can't just rewrite history! All that stuff happened already in real life! It's like, imagine Paimon drank all the water in this inn. Even if no one was there to see it, Paimon would sure as heck remember drinking it!
Yeah, great example.
So, why does Paimon still have a bad feeling about this? Paimon can't help but feel scared about what he might do!
Well, see, this is what's hard about this. See, Lumion is the only one who remembers that god. We took Nahida and Paimon to meet her, and she looks exactly like Kusanali, because she extended all of her power to help that guy in the desert, the Egyptian guy whose name I can't remember, try to save the desert. By putting all of her vitality in the pyramids, like try to save what you would call nature and life to seal it. By draining all her power with him together, she shrunk her size. And she said that she wanted to let the people be free. She wanted them to like live their lives and only remember Kusanali, because she feels bad that Kusanali was treated so poorly, because when they found her, they were like, oh, a child. What did a child possibly know? She ain't our god. And Rukkhadevata felt bad about that, because when Kusanali was reincarnated as her, she was reincarnated as a small child, because that's what Rukkhadevata was like before she reincarnated Kusanali, or created her, or whatever. So she was created in her image, which is why she looks like a child. And she felt like, oh, that's my fault, because she's in my image. So she used all of her power to override everybody's memories, because everybody knew Rukkhadevata, like Sino and everybody, and Nilo, they all knew who she was. But she used all of her power to basically write herself out of history. She wrote herself out of life, out of everybody's lives, and she basically replaced all the memories of her with Kusanali. So it can be done. You can change the past. And I think because Lumion hesitated when Scar was connected to her consciousness, because he can only establish a direct link if he touches her, and he touched her. So, well, he said to give her her hand to him, and she did. And when he did that, he basically like got a direct connection to her mind. And I think he found out that yeah, you can change the past, and that's what he's trying to do.
Paimon's so confused.
Maybe he wants to erase himself from history, like what Rukkhadevata did.
Huh?
What? Paimon, are you alright?
Sorry. Paimon accidentally... It's the Balladeer's fault for causing Paimon all this mental stress. But erasing yourself from history? It's unthinkable. Is that really possible in Irminsul?
Not necessarily, but maybe. Yes, because Rukkhadevata did it. You could say I'm just guessing here, because you're not supposed to tell Paimon about that, but I'm going to act like I know, because I do know. I was there. I watched Rukkhadevata die, so...
Uh-oh. Paimon's head is overheating from trying to understand what he's up to, and it's still not working.
Keep an eye on that jar she knocked over. There's a reason for it.
Paimon's had it with that little rat. He's been nothing but trouble ever since we met him. There's no way he'll actually succeed, right? Otherwise, won't everyone who's connected to him be affected too?
The only two people that are connected to him is me and Hephasia. Indeed, if the Belladere does erase himself and remember, so many people in Inazuma will be affected. I can't imagine what the situation would look like. Worst case scenario, it will affect everyone with a connection to the Raiden Gakuden, Kazuha, Ayaka, Ayato. Will this mean that they'll disappear?
There's nothing we can do about it at this point. Hey, have you got any ideas on what we should do next?
That is true, though. That's kind of terrifying to think about. If he undoes time, if he erases things, we'll lose Kazuha. Because it's like you see like those other movies or games where it's like, I'll go into the past and meet my parents when they're teenagers, but if your parents never hook up and never have you, you won't exist. There's many movies like that, like where like I think there was a movie about a guy, or what might have been I think yeah, it was a guy. It's like Back to the Future, where he goes back in time and meets his parents, but he tries to help his mother and father hook up, because if they don't, you know, his mother won't get pregnant, won't have him, and therefore he won't exist in the future. And he's like freaking out, trying really hard to get his parents together. It's like that. Like if you undo something in the past, you'll screw up something in the future. And because that connection to the Raiden Shogun and all the sword styles and the way it is, if he changes history to where the sword styles like never existed, Kazuha might not have been born. Along with the Ayato and Ayaka.
Seems like now there's nothing left for us to do but to go to sleep. But Paimon's still so worried. Paimon won't be able to sleep a wink tonight.
Me either, but Lumine is still connected to Scar, and there's something that's gonna happen, so...
So, how about, we list all our favorite foods to take our mind off things? Heck, if that doesn't work, Paimon's probably gonna collapse of anxiety here.
Anxiety is hard to deal with, because you start fucking hyperventilating, you get this feeling in your stomach and your mind, and you start panicking, you can't do shit correctly, and you feel like you're dying.
Alright, Paimon will start. First dish. Munchak grilled fish. Oh, and chicken mushroom skewers. Tea break pancakes, cream stew, sauteed matsutake, and drained chili chicken, almond tofu, satisfying salad.
Oh my god, I'm dying.
Also, Adeptus Temptation, golden shrimp balls, triple layered consomme, lotus seed and bird egg soup, and...
He did it. Don't tell me he did it. Paimon, what's wrong?
What was Paimon supposed to be doing just now? Paimon was, talking? Huh. Paimon suddenly can't remember what she was talking about. What was it again?
You were getting so worried about the situation with the Belladere that you started listing off foods.
The Belladere? Is that a food too? Huh. Weird name though.
Oh no, he did it! Paimon doesn't remember him. That must mean he actually pulled it off. But how did he have that ability? That doesn't make any sense.
What's wrong? Your eyes are like saucers. Was it something Paimon said?
No.
So, the Belladere. Is that someone's name? 'Cause it sounds like a nickname or something.
Oh no, not again. If this is really happening, I need to know what else has changed. Paimon, come with me.
Okay, sure. Where are we going?
I want to go back to Inazuma.
Huh? Fine by Paimon, but is everything okay? You're acting like this is an emergency.
Now's not the time to explain. Oh no. Please fucking tell me he didn't. Oh my god. He wrote himself out of history. He's like, if I never existed, then the people who died because of me never would have died. Oh my god, he actually did it. Oh, fuck. We need to talk to that blacksmith guy. Oh no, does that mean that Kazuha doesn't exist in this timeline either? And Ayato and Ayaka, I don't really care for them, but Kazuha though. Oh no. Well, if that's the case, he would have been back in time over 400 years. Because what happened with him and the furnace nonsense, it was 400 years ago. And because it's like Rugadavata, because Lumin has a direct connection to Skara, that means I'm the only one who can find him. Oh, shit. What? He actually did it? But they said he barely had any of his god power left. Oh, no.
We made it! The Amanoma Smithy!
Ah, it's been a while.
Pardon me. I'd like to ask you a question, if I may.
Of course. Go ahead.
About the Raiden Gakuden.
Oh. Now there's a question I wasn't expecting. Very well. I'll tell you what I know once more. The once renowned Raiden Gokuden, comprised of 5 branches. Amenoma, Futsu, Ishin, Hyakume, and Senju. The art of forging practiced by these 5 clans was first taught to them personally by the almighty Shogun. Over time, the 5 branches diverged from one another as generations of bladesmiths honed and perfected their craft until they became 5 distinct traditions. Most of the great swordsmith clans of old have since fallen into decline, and for a long time, only the Amenoma branch kept its art alive. But fortunately, Kaede Harakaza recently returned to Inazuma and took up the mantle of the Ishin art. Now, 2 clans remain of the original Gokuden 5.
Okay, he's still alive in this time zone. I was supposed to say, fuck. Well, Ishin is his style, but that didn't actually really happen. Kazuha abandoned this sword thing.
If my memory serves me right, you yourself were present when he forged the Ishin blade.
The Katsurobe no Ishin. Yes?
Oh, yeah, we were! Paimon remembers that now. We learned a bit about the decline of the Raiden Gokuden then, too. It seems like such a shame.
What was the reason behind their decline?
That, my friends, is a tragic tale indeed. In fact, this was not made known to me for most of my life. All these years, I knew of those great clans' demise, but never the cause. Only recently, when the question was on my mind, did I ask Kaede Harakaza about this. He told me that, as we are both heirs to a branch of the Raiden Gokuden, it was right that I should know the truth. There is no harm in telling you, but I must warn you. It is a dark and sorrowful tale.
I bet you this is where it changes, because we know Kazuha's past. We were there on the island where we got to revisit his, Fischl's Mona, and... who was it? It was Fischl, Mona, and Kazuha. I keep feeling like there was one other person, but there wasn't. It was just Fischl, Mona, Kazuha, and me, where we saw his past.
The Raiden Gokuden were the targets of a murderous rampage by a vengeful bladesmith.
Vengeful? Why?
400 years ago, so I'm told, there was a catastrophic malfunction in Tatarasuna's furnace. One brave swordsmith heard the commotion and chose not to flee, but he rushed to the scene, hoping to prevent a disaster. Tatarasuna was home to a state-of-the-art forging and smelting operation in that day, and overseeing it was the armory officer. His surname was Niwa, though he had family ties to the Kaedehara clan. Knowing that they had just one chance to save countless lives, Mr. Niwa and the swordsmith leaped together into the furnace. The furnace quickly stabilized, but neither of them made it out.
That's how Skara changed the past. Instead of the doctor killing Niwa and putting his heart into the furnace and giving it to Skara, Scara did it the other way around, where they both entered.
The smith's death, though heroic, dealt a devastating blow to his family's fortunes. His orphaned son was left to fend for himself, and grew up deeply resentful at the world. In his heart, the whole of Inazuma was culpable in his tragedy. He hated the almighty Shogun for her apparent indifference towards his father's death, and he hated everyone who had done nothing to try and save him. Powerless and destitute, the only legacy he had to pass on to his children was his hatred. Generation after generation bore this grudge, living in utter misery. Alas, if only the story could have ended there. But 100 years ago, the then head of this family reached the end of his wits. He could bear their fate no longer, and yet he could do nothing to change it. Finally, he made a drastic decision to take revenge on the Raiden Gokuden. In doing so, he sought to vent his pent anger and shake the very foundations of Inazuma's forging industry. In his fury, he murdered indiscriminately, killing even bladesmiths from the Hyakume clan which he belonged to. His goal was absolute, the devastation of all of the Raiden Gokuden. But when he came to the Kaedehara and Kamisato clans, his killing spree came to an abrupt end. He failed to catch them unawares. They fought back fiercely, and they did not spare his life. That is why the Kaedehara clan and their Ishin art survived that day. I suppose they were the lucky ones, under the dire circumstances.
The legend of the Raiden Gokuden has changed. Someone else attacked the swordsmiths. It looks like the Balladeer did something in Armansol, but it seems Niwa still died.
Was there anything else you wanted to ask?
Have you seen Kazuha recently?
Kazuha? Why, yes. Just yesterday, in fact. We spoke for a while over some tea. He seemed well.
But where is he right now? So he still exists, and he's the same Kazuha I know. Things don't seem as bad as I feared last night. That's all.
My pleasure.
Don't tell Paimon. There are other places you want to visit too, right? Your expression says it all. You can't hide anything from Paimon. On to the next stop. Lead the way, traveler. Paimon will be right behind you.
Oh no. Alright. Yep. Oh god. Hold on. Why am I running? It's not like I can get there like that. What the fuck am I doing? I'll just swim across the ocean to visit them. No, he did change history though. Because that's not at all what happened. So the same thing, if you didn't see the last video, the same thing happened with happened with Uruka Devata. How she wrote herself out of history. Basically, Scara did that to himself, and we have to find him. Watch him be like, you can't come in here. You're not friends with Ayato and Ayaka.
We're here! This is the Yashiro Commission's headquarters, so...
Traveler, it's been a while.
Hello.
If you're looking for the Commissioner and Miss Kamisato, I'm afraid your timing is unfortunate. They're not here right now.
Are they out on business?
The Commissioner is out on business, and Miss Kamisato is standing in for some meetings in the Commissioner's place. If it's urgent, you're welcome to wait inside until they get back.
Is Toma here?
What do you think? Shall we go in?
We'll take you up on that. Can we take a walk in the courtyard?
If it were anyone else, I couldn't allow it. But seeing as you're so close with the Commissioner and Miss Kamisato, I think it should be okay.
We'll be heading in then. Thanks!
Yeah, 'cause he changed the past, but they still know us.
Hello, dears. Is there something you want to say?
Ma'am, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Of course, traveler. Yes, I know who you are. Miss Kamisato has told me about you. What would you like to know?
How are the Commissioner and Miss Kamisato these days?
Oh, they're both very well indeed. Lately, Miss Kamisato has been rather busy attending all kinds of meetings and occasionally paying visits to some local organizations on the commissioner's behalf. As for the commissioner himself, well, you know, busy as ever. That much hasn't changed. Although he does seem to be in a rather good mood these days.
So pretty much business as usual in the Yashiro Commission, huh?
Very much so.
Ayato is still the Yashiro commissioner. Ayaka is still the lady of the house. No changes there. As far as I can see, nothing's changed in the Yashiro commission either. I was expecting as much, but it's still a big relief to know that the Kamisato siblings are both safe and well.
Well, got any more questions?
That's all for now, thanks.
You're very welcome. In fact, I would love nothing more than for you to come and visit more often. But I'm sure you must be far too busy to have time for that.
It's getting awfully dark and purple all of a sudden.
Miss Kamisato talks about you all the time. She seems so thrilled to have you as a friend, and she's always saying how talented you are and how much she admires you.
That tree being that close to that lantern is asking for a fire.
I must say, many things in Inazuma seem to have taken a turn for the better since you arrived here. So you're not just Miss Kamisato's knight in shining armor, you know. You're a hero to us all.
I'm flattered.
I mean it. Whenever the commissioner dines at home, Toma always joins him. I always find myself at my most relaxed when I'm serving the two of them and listening to them chat away. The commissioner has such a busy schedule that he doesn't always have the chance to take his meals at home. But given the opportunity, he always prefers to dine here. They say it's because Toma's a much better chef than most. Oh, the commissioner is so fond of home comforts. They get to talking about you sometimes too, you know. Always with a very fond tone. The way one would talk about dear old friends around whom one can truly be themselves. Miss Kamisato occasionally joins them as well. Whenever the whole family gets together and they start talking about people they've met and experiences they've had, you always get a mention. It's been many years now since the late Mr. and Mrs. Kamisato passed away. Much has happened in the Kamisato clan in that time. As someone who is old and gray enough to have watched their son and daughter grow up, it makes me so happy to see them meet a dependable friend whose company they enjoy so much. So, in the future, if you ever do have the time, please know you are always very welcome at the Yashiro Commission headquarters. There will always be at least one old lady who would be delighted to have the pleasure of your company.
The people of the Kamisato clan are very dear friends to me.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Paimon likes it here too! Also, you were saying something about the food here being really great. Paimon's itching to try it. We may just have to invite ourselves around for dinner sometime. Paimon meant we should come pay a visit again real soon. Ideally around dinner time.
Of course. You're always welcome.
Alright, goodbye for now. Where are we going next?
To Tadasuna.
Great! Goodbye, ma'am! Don't worry, we'll see ourselves out.
All right then. Take care now. Hope to see you soon.
Oh my god.
Oh, are you two leaving already?
Yep, everything's taken care of now. Don't worry.
Very well. Safe travels. Goodbye.
Oh my god. I was once a blonde girl, but now I am a maroon-haired boy. What's up? Oh my god. I'm fine as long as I have Hazo with me. I don't have to worry about anything at all. As long as he's by my side, I'll be fine. Not just him, though. Like, Changyun's my main as well. But in fairness, the Electro Archonists too, they kind of have all become characters I rely on a lot. But Hazo has something about him that the other characters don't have. Probably that spunky, windy, flirtatious nit. Wait. Yeah, there's that guy. He's the is he the real guy? The one that the doctor was impersonating? Yeah, looks like him. That's the guy from the furnace, Xavier. I know him.
Well, here we are. But what are we looking for? Something? Or someone?
Do my eyes deceive me, or is that the Traveler in Paimon?
So, I feel like the only ones who would have a connection to the storyline are the people that actually did the furnace event, and I did it with him. Where you go to the furnace and you help him repair it, because it's like destroying everything with electro energy. But because Skara rewrote the past, does that not exist here anymore?
Xavier? What are you doing here?
That's how you say his name? I thought it was Xavier or Javier.
I was in the general area, and now I'm in this specific area. There, that's me. So what about you two?
We have some questions and thought you might be able to help.
Do you know much about Tatarasuna?
Certainly do. I've researched the furnace here in some depth. If there's anything you want to know, just ask away.
Well, how well do you understand the history of this area?
Like the back of my hand. Make no mistake, I have been here a good many times before. Not only that, but I've met people in Inazuma whose families used to live in Tatarasuna years ago. They said it's all true, the history here.
Go on, I'm listening.
Oh, well, it's a long story, don't you know? The tale of Tatarasuna starts a long time ago. I'm told that its history as one of the most foremost forging and smelting operations in the nation goes back around 1,000 years. Still, the furnace has had a couple of serious maintenance issues along the way.
A couple? When exactly?
One was just in the last few years, the other was several hundred years ago. A fun fact, I'm not the first Fontaine tech guy to come and work on it either. There was a guy back then too. They say he was a mechanic who consulted on a technology upgrade. It seems like the technological collaboration between our two nations goes back a long way. How about that?
Mechanic, huh? Looks like the doctor still sabotaged the furnace, leading to all the ensuing chaos.
Hey! Weren't you gonna ask Xavier something about Tatarasuna? Come on, ask already!
I am.
Oh, I didn't realize you two were here for a history lesson.
Me neither. Paimon doesn't know what's gotten into this one today. Feels like we've been preparing for a history exam or something.
What brought this on? Did you just wake up today with a sudden burning desire for historical knowledge?
Pretty much. Anyway, so can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Have you ever heard of a kabuki mono connected to Tatarasuna?
A kabuki mono? No, I can't say that I have. I do know the word, Inazuman, for those eccentric types who always go around dressed to the nines. Just the sort of person I'd like to meet, actually. But sadly, I've never had the pleasure, nor have I come across anything to do with a kabuki mono where Tatarasuna is concerned.
So there's no more kabuki mono. Did the Balladeer really manage to erase himself from history completely? If so, he must have wanted to change the world and revert everything back to the way it was. But so far, it looks like the majority of changes have only affected himself. Thanks.
Of course! Don't mention it.
Oh, we're leaving? Okay, bye, Xavier.
Oh, you're most welcome. More than happy to help.
I like how we're the only two illuminated by the moon in this shot.
Farewell.
Satamata.
Looks like you got all the information you're looking for.
Time to go back and see less of Lord Kusanali.
Sure, but what's up with you today? Whatever it is, it seems like it's really troubling you.
Because I'm the only one who remembers Skara and you don't, even though you were there when he touched me. Not in the way you think.
Keep your smile, Spinal Crocodile. No matter what happens, Paimon will always be there for you.
Thanks, Paimon.
Hey, don't mention it. Alright, let's head off and go meet Nahida.
I noticed them before they appeared. I'm a freak. If you go back and watch that, I reacted to them before they loaded in. Ah, I'm doing that thing again. Ah, you didn't. Oh. What am I at now? 102. I'm losing my mind, and I know it. No, wait, fuck. I thought maybe I could just teleport up to the door, because I've done that before, and I clicked on the wrong icon. Fuck. It's alright. Yeah, so, like, in the last video, he's like, let me see your hand, and when he touched her, he still had a connection directly to her mind, and he's like, can you change the past? And I think he saw what she was hiding about later Lord Ruka Devata and how she wrote herself out of the past. And I think he stole that information from me because it was in her mind. And she, you know, you can't hide your thoughts, right? And if somebody's directly in your mind, they're going to hear it. And that's what happened. He stole that information from me.
Hey, it's them!
Huh? I know you two, but you sound as if though I'm wanted.
Akaba! Sawada! You're still here?
Are you still talking about that essay?
Indeed we are. If you have a moment, we'd love for you to join us once more.
We have time. What do you want to talk to us about?
It's the same topic we discussed last time. Obviously.
Still looking for more info about the Tarasuna, huh? Should we join them?
Perfect. These two have researched the Tarasuna's past. Let me hear what they have to say.
Unfortunately, we haven't made any real progress.
Can I read it again?
Huh? Oh, of course.
But how am I going to remember what it said, though? So, in the very first video I did on this chapter, which was like 2 videos ago, this changed. They had me read it, but how am I going to remember? So, Veil Cutter Project is the same. The Tatsuna area has always been a major pillar of Inazuma Spitting industry. 2 incidents have occurred here, and the details behind the first are vague at best. I believe, however, that there might have been a hidden history behind the events that transpired. Hence, the paper will attempt to analyze what may have unfolded from the available data. Okay, let's see. It looks like it might be the same, but I might have to read it all the way again through anyway. The paper continues and expands the work of my mentor, Rumi. In his report, Happily Hidden Tales of Tatsuna, and is intended to further this avenue of research. According to the data, the blade forging techniques of Inazuma were originally handed down from the Electric Archon known as the Red Shogun. Using the arts they inherited from their Archon, the people of Inazuma devoted themselves to process of forging. However, strange rumors that do not quite fit the steely nature of metalwork yet linger about. Tatsuna Smelting Center, which was a central pillar of the forging industry. There, the Makoshi and Niwa clans, along with the eccentric mechanic from abroad, serve as the 3 windows of insight we need to investigate the truth behind what happened. So that changed. Last time, well, the eccentric is, when they say, the eccentric is another word they use for the puppet, and the puppet is Skara. So I gotta make sure that those stay the same. Strange notes from Tatsura Suna area. Their contents are as follows. Once, perhaps I overslept, but I think that Sir Nagamasa's mood grows better when he forges blades. The obsession to cleanse the stain of the name Akoshi must eat it, and that's the same. The inspector brought a certain number of jade steel ingots. Sir Katsuragi discussed matters of smithing deep into the night with the vice armory. I think that's the same. We at last made a single mankind. His eyes through the text when I'm reading is disturbing me. Oh my god. We call it Daitatara Nagamasa. The inspector was in high sights, and he and Vice Armory Officer Nozomu was so taken by the beauty of Daitatara Nagamasa that he drew a picture of it. That's the same. The inspector flew into a rage and slashed Katsuragi. The great blade cut deep into his flesh, cast his own Nagamaki into the furnace's flame. Nozomu could not abide by that order and drew the completely melted weapon out of the furnace. He was burned horribly. That's the same. Nozomu died that night. I dare say that Sir Katsuragi may have committed that word again. If it was out of goodness of heart, that's the same. Kinjiro hid the Nagamaki, and Nozomu's drawing in the arsenal. Nagamasa is harsh, but also knows right from wrong. But even so, he is not amenable to reason. His name indicates one obsession with purity. Still, I and some households of Tatsura have not been blinded by the matter of Nagamasa's mother Chiyo, and we trust him. I also remain unwilling to forget the joy of creation. I remember making a freaking Freddy Fazbear joke there, because the joy of creation is one of the Five Nights at Freddy's games. The dead Tatsura Nagamasa with him, that's the same. Before we withdrew, you should have divided the arsenal key into 3 parts, one for the inspector, one for the army officer, and one to be left in Tatsura itself to prevent theft. But we were in too much of a hurry, and neither the inspector nor the armory officer could be found. So I was so bold as to hide the 3 pieces within treasure chests in Tatsura. That's the same. I think it's yeah, the yellow, this is where it changes. Oh, they made it easy for me. Maybe I don't have to read all of this then, because I read this in the first video. Let's just start with yellow. A great many of these rumors revolved around the yokai, who are so very characteristic of Inazuma's folk histories. A small portion, however, repeatedly mentions the word outsider, or normally it was the word puppet. It should be known that the appearance of such a character who is suspected to be based on a real person is a very curious case. This fact drew the attention of the researchers to delve further, and eventually the following pieces of information came to light. A foreign mechanic once visited Tatsura. Reportedly, the reason for his immigration was to exchange knowledge and forge ties with the locals. That's not true. However, the mechanic seemed to behave suspiciously after wandering around essential or restricted areas, and if someone tried to turn him away, they would only earn incomprehensible mumbles from his lips. The mechanic often stared into the furnace, seemingly to check on its condition. Unsettlingly, I can't read. He also spent a substantial amount of time watching the local residents. That's not true. Originally, they said he liked to walk around the island and stare at the sea. Judging from the era, it was not uncommon to see cross-cultural exchanges of technical knowledge in places. My cat's trying to open the door and I can't read. Hold on a minute. I can't read with her doing that. Come on. Oh god. When I stare at text, it puts these white and black lines through my vision, and it gives me blind spots. It's like I can see, but it's like I have random points where the black lines go over everything I see. It makes certain things so that I'm seeing it, but I can't make out what it is. Like, it's just blind spots. It's like take a picture and take pieces out of it. That's what I see. Where did I leave off? So judging from the era, it was not uncommon to see cross-cultural exchanges of technical knowledge in places such as Tatsura. After traveling across the tides, foreign experts being welcome in the region, was likely not unreasonable either. Yet calamity came not long after this exchange of knowledge, which hints at high potential for causation between these events. However, some current residents believe that these assumptions were merely the result of their forebears' overactive imaginations attempting to theorize how things actually unfolded. So that's all changed. Yeah, it changes here. Mechanic, long have I delved through many texts and documents, but I was ultimately unable to decipher even a specter of a clue as to his background. Still, mentions of a mechanic grew scarcer in the aftermath of the Tatsura incident. I speculate that instead of the mechanic possibly being a foreign woven from overripe imaginations, he actually did exist, and perhaps even had a hand in the events that took place in Tatarasuna. Yeah, that's all different. That's all changed. Originally, they said that the Nagamasa, or was it Katsuragi? One of them found Skara, and they brought him to Tatarasuna. But because people said he was a puppet and they freaked out on him, they still tried to teach him everything. They tried to teach him how to like cook and clean and how to fix things and how to make weapons. They taught him all of their trades. They tried to accept him as one of them, even though he obviously was a doll or a puppet. He was not a real person. But the other guy kept saying that he was a real person, even accepted him as such and told him that he was. Niwa accepted Skara. And then that's when the doctor basically turned him against him. And if you've seen the last two videos, you would have figured that out.
I presume you'll want to read mine as well. Here.
I'm going to skip to the yellow parts. Because one talked about him killing people, like, oh, he was a shadow and he laughed at people, and, oh, he was at the shore and he saw a ship and that's where Niwa died, and it's like, it changed. Miyazaki hid his grin upon hearing this. Niwa realized released the lizard from his hand into Katsuragi's palm. But just as more words were to be exchanged, someone came walking nearby, their footsteps steady and confident. The head that appeared by the door was that of one from abroad. The newcomer placed some lunch boxes to one side, nodded and made to leave. That did not happen last time. Katsuragi called out after him, "Sir, what about your meal? Are you not hungry?" The man smiled upon hearing Katsuragi's words. "I ate already. I hope that you, my lords, may also find time to sate your hunger soon. You are our guest, sir. To see you help in these trifling matters fills me with embarrassment," Niwa said with sincerity. The man smiled as if it was no matter. Then with a nod he departed. That changed. So that's Skara who's doing this. Like a falling spear, the black cloud reached to the bottom of the boat and was joined in its barefootness of direction. Like a charging beast, it plunged into the shoreline, scant steps away. The mechanic laughed, slowly approaching the ground wreck. Not but half an arm was left on the one who had cried out for help. And with a plop, it landed at the mechanic's feet. It was actually landed at the puppet's feet, who crouched to better study the subject, straining against the urge to take a bite. Yet he did not, for the dark cloud swirled down and had already picked the remnants ship clean. So they changed it. It wasn't fell at the mechanic's feet. It was fell at Skara's feet. He was the one where the dark cloud was around him and attacked the ship that Niwa was on. Or at least that's what it seemed like. Maybe he didn't actually attack it, but the clouds around him were the ones that attacked it. Then a second ship was sent, followed by a third and a fourth. Each who left to seek salvation did so under fell skies and bleak fortunes. Reason dictated that they should not have risked anyone else. But the situation in Tatarasuna was severe. They needed to gain aid from Inazuma, even should it cost them more lives. That did not happen. The content has changed. Another effect of tampering with the information in Erminsul. The balladeer said he'd erased 2 of his names. If he really succeeded, it must have taken all of his might, but still.
Well, what do you think?
A masterpiece.
Hey, Traveler. Remember how last time Akaba was saying how you wish you could gather more information about all this? Well, we just got back from Inazuma. So how about we tell them what we learned?
Sure.
What did you find out? Something big?
It's a long story. Basically, we have some friends in Inazuma, and...
You tell the 2 writers what you learned about the Raiden Gokuden and Tatarasuna's history.
So many new details. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Well, well. So it all comes down to one man's desire for revenge. Huh. You heard this from a member of the Amanoma clan, you say? Then I guess it must be true. Ugh. So there's no ghost story here after all.
This new information actually lends further credence to my hypothesis. Evidently, swordsmiths were seen as having an incredibly prestigious role in society those days, to the extent that harming them was conceived of, at least by the perpetrator, as a way of exacting revenge against those in power.
Yes, okay, point taken, you were right. But that doesn't mean I can't carry on with my novel.
And there back at it. These guys are really into this.
You got some things to take care of, so bye.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Look at us, prattling on about our projects and ignoring you. Thank you so much for the information.
You're welcome. See ya.
Keep us in the loop if you find out anything else.
Will do.
We're gonna have to go through a lot of shit to find him. He erased himself out of time, but because it's all stored in Irminsul, I have to undo it. Man, he loves to make shit hard for me. And not in the way I'd hope. I'm gonna not finish that fucking statement. Anyway. I'm here again! Where's my god music? Where's my god music? There it is. Where's my fucking Star Wars music? We're with Qui-Gon and we're gonna enter the underwater city.
Nahida, we're here!
Traveler, Paimon, how have you been?
Through hell and back.
Ugh, where to start? Paimon hasn't had a moment's rest this whole time. That night, we ended up chatting until suddenly the sun was up. And then she decided she wanted to go to Inazuma.
I was investigating the situation with the Balladeer.
The Balladeer? It sounds like some kind of code name.
Oh no.
You look troubled. Is there something we need to tell me?
Even Nahida doesn't remember, just like last time. Any changes to Irminsul affect her as well. The Balladeer acted quickly. He finished erasing himself before Nahida could stop him. I'm the only one who still remembers the things that were erased. Once again, I am the record keeper.
Traveler?
Hey, what's wrong? You look so upset.
There are things that have happened that only I can remember. I have to tell you the truth. With a heavy heart, you piece back together the story that was broken and scattered across time. There once was named the Balladeer. That is horribly fucking written. Oh my god, what the fuck? There was once a man named the Balladeer, created by the Electro Archon. He was a puppet who lived among men. After a series of events in Tatarasuna, Skara, thinking he had been thrice betrayed, left Inazuma to rule the world. Oh, fuck me. To roam the world beyond. With no trust for humans and only loathing for the gods, he bore his grudge for years as he grew in strength, then returned to Inazuma to take his revenge. He tried in vain to become a deity with a gnosis and ended up losing everything. Finally, he entered Irminsul and learned the truth behind his betrayal. Knowing now that his entire life was built on lies, he did the unthinkable in an attempt to reverse his tragic fate.
That's quite a story. So, this puppet known as the Balladeer erased himself from Irminsul, hoping that he could change the past.
But how was he even able to do that?
As the Traveler said, he very nearly became Sumeru's deity. Admittedly, I remember it a little differently. I don't recall finding anyone inside the machine after we defeated it. Nevertheless, it does make sense. If someone were to successfully erase themselves from Irminsul, the world would change to reflect the new reality.
So, you believe this person really existed? And we just don't remember him because... well... because he literally changed the world?
Yes. Theoretically speaking, it is possible to do this. But I'm struggling to imagine the kind of person who would dare go through with it. The Traveler comes from a world beyond to that. That's why there's no information about her in Irminsul. And it also explains why any changes to Irminsul wouldn't affect her. So if there's anyone in the world capable of retaining memories from a past that has been rewritten, it's you. It's quite incredible when you think about it.
You can say that again.
Paimon's having a hard time understanding this Balladeer guy's motivations. Why did he do it?
I can only make inferences based on the information we've been given. As for what kind of person he was, only you remember that.
I'm not really sure, though. I wasn't really close to him at all. And every time I encountered him, he was a smug dick to me. We were enemies after all. I don't know his perspective on all this, so I can't say why he did something so extreme. Did he want to reset everything, or save someone? Or did he want to completely undo his existence? Everything can be set right. It's a time to solve this once and for all. Maybe that's all there is to it. I still remember the question he asked. He asked me specifically, and my hesitation gave him his answer. I hesitated because I witnessed Greater Lord Rukkhadevata erase her own existence, but I can't tell Nahida that. To put it another way, I know why the Balladeer was so sure it would work, or could work, but I can't tell them that.
Something else worrying you? Something that you can't share?
He chose such a radical option, and yet, I just feel empty.
It couldn't change the fate of the ones who had died, right?
Yes.
Once the Balladeer realized he hadn't been betrayed after all, it must have completely changed his view of the people of Tatarasuna. Now he saw them as friends again. He couldn't keep hating humans after that. And if he thought there was a chance he could save his old friends, it would be hard not to try. The story makes sense. Every part of it. The Balladeer tried to achieve godhood with the doctor's help. He was unsuccessful, but retained the power to connect with Irminsul. That power then enabled him to change what was recorded in Irminsul and erase himself, even though he didn't have much strength left.
Yeah, it does make sense, but it still ended in tragedy for his friends.
Yeah, they died either way, with or without him, you know?
It just feels so hopeless. He gave everything to do this, but it seems like he got nothing in return.
Yeah, he changed the world in many ways, and yet the dead still didn't get a second chance. Those fated to a tragic end could not be saved. What exactly did he want to fight back against? The betrayals in his life? Or did he wish he'd never existed at all?
Please wait a moment. I want to check something. Found it. This should be the one. It turns out that I have a strange way of confirming everything she has told us.
What is it?
It's Skara.
A record from a personal collection. It was tucked away in a corner.
It watched everything that happened.
You should take a look.
Surprisingly, the information is presented to you in a way that resembles a fairy tale.
Is this a fairy tale? Who wrote it?
This matches everything I said.
I authored this record myself.
Huh? You wrote a fairy tale? That somehow has something to do with the Balladeer?
When combined with the Traveler's narrative, it's clear that this story is an allegory. Everything in it is a symbol for something else.
Hold on. So this record survived from the past?
Yes. Any information about the Balladeer or the Kabuki Mono and other records will have been changed. But I wrote this story in a way that means it was left intact. Changing the information in Irminsul changes to that. But Irminsul can't change information that was well hidden in advance. I guess I must have written this story as a backup before the Balladeer entered Irminsul.
Because she secretly didn't trust him either.
That's incredible! What a great idea!
And sending the Traveler into Irminsul with the Balladeer must have been a further precaution. I knew she'd remember everything. This story is abstract enough that it still resonates with the present information recorded in Irminsul. But if we connect all the different pieces together, the true story that emerges is the one she told us. The now erased life of the Balladeer.
I know he's an asshole and everything, but I want to save
There
him.
was once a lone monster draped in fox fur. The monster found a family of foxes, joined them, and they became friends. The monster lived with the family day and night, and everyone treated it as one of their own.
Yeah, because I can't remember if it was Nagamasa or Katsuragi, but they found Skara and took him back to Tatarasuna. And even though he was a puppet, everybody accepted him as a person and taught him their trades. But I can't remember if it was Nagamasa or Katsuragi who brought him back, or if it was Niwa who did it actually. Oh my god.
Once in a while, the monster would take off its fox fur at night and lament to itself as it gazed at its reflection in the water.
True.
I am a monstrosity, yet they are too